Welcome to Tickets to History. Today we're going to take a look at the New York Giants full set of ticket stubs from the 1990 season. Right here we're looking at the 4 preseason games, the first one at Buffalo, the second one at Houston, the third one at home for the Jets, and the fourth one at home for the Cleveland Browns. So we're going to take a look at each game, we're going to take a look at the ticket stub from each game, and some highlights along the way. So the first game we look at is the Philadelphia Eagle game. That was the ticket right there. Giants were favored by 4 points over the Eagles, who were giving them a really hard time during this time period here. Lawrence Taylor held out the entire preseason. He just came back right before this game, and he wreaked havoc all over the place. Recorded multiple sacks. Cunningham was running for his life. The Giants really, like I said, they struggled with Philly in the 89 season. I think they lost 4 in a row up until this point, and they won this game as their home opener, and there's Taylor going after Cunningham. The thing with the Giants is they had multiple people holding out in the preseason. They had Leonard Marshall holding out, Eric Dorsey, Eric Howard, Gary Reasons, Maurice Carthon, Mark Collins, and like I said earlier, Lawrence Taylor, and Mark Bavaro was injured. So they had a lot of things going on in the preseason here. So for Parcells and company to get this ship righted and to start the season off with a win against the tough division rival Philadelphia Eagles was a feather in their cap right off the bat. And to cap off the win, Dave Meggett takes this punt all the way to the house. 68 yards for the score, and the Giants are off to their 1-0 start on the season, and they win by a score of 27-20 over the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, and we go on to game number 2 against Dallas. Giants were 7.5-point favorites in Dallas, and Rodney Hampton, the first-round draft pick of the New York Giants, was supposed to be the man in the backfield. But O.J. Anderson had a little bit to say about that. Even in this game, Lewis Tillman had a lot to say about that. He had 22 attempts. Hampton, 8 attempts. O.J., 11 attempts. So they spread the ball out on the ground, and there's Hampton there. Hampton got off to a flying start in the preseason. He looked like he was going to be the true number 1. But as we all know, things didn't kind of work out that way later on in the year, and it was more of a committee until Hampton got hurt. And then OJ kind of took over from there. But anyway, here in the Dallas game, there's a ticket stub in the top left-hand corner. No date on the top, unfortunately. But that is the ticket stub from the 1990 season with Dallas. In this game also, Emmitt Smith only rushed for 11 yards on the ground, 6 carries. And Lawrence Taylor just continued his dominant play, even though he missed the entire training camp and preseason, asking for $2 million a year, which was a lot at the time. He had another sack in this game. He had 3 in the first game against the Eagles, and also in this, there he is right there. And also in this game, he had this play right here, this tip pass up in the air, interception, and he ran it and took it to the house. So a good start for LT, and the Giants, they moved to 2-0. Now we have the Miami Dolphins at home, and the line here was 6.5. There's the ticket stub. It looks exactly the same, obviously, because it's a Giants home game. It just has the second game on the top there. So Dan Marino had one of his worst games of the season. In this game, he only threw for 115 yards. He had 2 picks, and he threw for under 50% completion percentage, which was very rare for Marino. The Giants' defense was on point this game, and there wasn't a lot of scoring in this contest here. It was 20-3. But this was just a typical 1990 Giants game. Run the ball, pass when you need to, play great elite defense, and just, wear the other team down. And that's kind of what they did here. So Sims threw for 182 yards, no touchdowns, but again, O.J. Anderson, 25 carries, 72 yards. Lewis Tillman, 12 carries. Carthon, even, the fullback, 4 carries. So they just spread the ball around on the ground. There's OJ driving it into the end zone. And the Giants take this one at home, 20-3. And they move to 3-0 on the season. Okay, week 4 takes us to Dallas. And you see the line, 13.5-point favorites were the Giants. You had a young Troy Aikman. You had a young Emmitt Smith. So the Giants were primed for a Super Bowl this year. That's why the big number there. And Rodney Hampton continued his strong play. He was strong in the first game against Dallas as well. And another note from this game, kicker Matt Barr, the postseason hero, had his first game with the Giants here. Raul Alegre was the kicker, and he got injured. So the Giants had to go out and find another kicker. And it's incredible that two kind of postseason heroes, and Matt Barr and O.J. Anderson, were not guys that they were really counting on. As a matter of fact, O.J. Anderson and Joe Morris were on the chopping block in the preseason. They didn't know who they were going to keep. But the Giants win this one 31-17, and we move on to Week 6 Redskins. Now, the Giants were only favored by 1 point here. The Redskins were a tough opponent at this point. There's the ticket in the top left-hand corner. The Redskins, I feel, always did a nice job with their tickets. Nice, just traditional design, but always solid job with their design. In this game, Carl Banks was injured, and he missed the next 6 games of the season. And that was a big loss at the time because a lot of people were focusing on Taylor, and having Banks out and replacing him with Johnny Cooks just enabled people to kind of put more people on Taylor's side. So missing Banks for half the season, basically, or a quarter of the season, was difficult. So in this game, the Giants had a lot of big plays, as you're seeing now. They had the 80-yard pass to Stephen Baker. They had a big play to Carthon, and then they had the touchdown to Bavaro there. Moving on to Week 7 here, the Giants were again 13.5-point favorites against the lowly Phoenix Cardinals. And the Cardinals always gave us problems for whatever reason. It seemed like they matched up well against us. If you look, see they're getting pressure on Sims. I don't know what it was. They were not a good team. They came into this game at 2-3. And they did not have a good season. They finished this season, I believe, 5-11. But the Giants just always had a problem with the Cardinals during this time period. And Hostetler came in for an injured Phil Sims. We were down by 9 with 3 minutes to go. It looked like the Giants were going to go on to their first loss. Nobody knew what was going on with Sims. Hostetler comes in, fires this beautiful pass to Stephen Baker. With under 3 minutes to go, a 38-yard pass right in the end zone, and then they stop the Cardinals, get the ball back, drive down the field, and Matt Barr calmly drills a 40-yard field goal. Only his, second game with the team, so he's on his way to proving himself as one of the heroes of the season right off the bat. All right, back to Washington again, week number 8. There's the ticket from that game. We were 3.5-point favorites in this game. This was a huge game because the Redskins were 4-1 at this point. I'm sorry, 4-2. And the Giants could basically win the division at midseason if they knocked off the Redskins. They would have such a commanding lead. And it was at home. It was a home game. And all of these tickets are games that I attended as a fan because my family has had the ticket stubs. And I remember this game vividly. And watch this push on Baker right here. Oh, right after the touchdown. Nice. Good job, 34. So this game, it was a night game. 4 o'clock, actually. 4 o'clock game. And the Giants just came out to play. Here, Washington looks like they're going to take the lead. They score a touchdown here. The Stan Humphries, actually. But they tip the ball and right into the hands of Greg Jackson on the Giants. And the Giants ended up winning this one as well, 21-10. Which you'll see in a minute, but the final nail in the coffin was Everson Walls right here, pick 6, and that kind of sealed the deal for the Giants. And at this point, the Giants were feeling very confident. They had swept the Redskins, they had swept the Cowboys, they beat the Eagles once already, and we were kind of on our way to a nice little season here, 7-0 to start. Now we go on to Indianapolis. The Giants were favored by 10. This is a Ticketmaster type ticket stub, box office. I do not have the regular ticket, so that's the one that I'm putting on here. So there's the ticket stub. Now the Giants, this was a Monday night game in Indianapolis. Lewis Tillman, as you see there, number 34. Again, kind of split the carries with Otis. Otis had 14 carries and 2 touchdowns. Tillman 7 carries, 37 yards. So again, Parcells kind of like spreading the wealth. The Giants just dominated this game from beginning to end. Indianapolis was not good. They were, 2-5 at this point. And you see Jeff George there, Pepper Johnson, boom, and the ball's loose. Dave Duerson picks it up and runs it in. And the Giants went on to win this game 24-7 pretty handily. They cover the spread, and they move on to the next week against the Rams. Now, the Rams knocked us out of the playoffs in '89. Flipper Anderson caught the bomb in overtime at Giant Stadium, ran it into the tunnel. I was at that game too. And we don't forget what happens the year before, especially against the team that knocks you out of the playoffs. So here we are, boom, first hit. Thank you very much. Welcome to the game. The Rams were struggling. They were 3-5, I believe, coming into this game, something like that. I know they were under 500. And the Giants just took it right to them. This was not the same Rams team that we saw in the playoffs the year before, but the Giants came to play this game. We had a couple of interceptions, scary reasons, as you saw there. And then Sims finds Bavaro in the end zone for a touchdown. And the Giants it was an all-around, just solid game. Nothing too flashy, nothing, crazy. And that's kind of the Giant way in this season. 31-7, but very just nonchalant. 31-7 score. Okay, now back home to face the Lions, 12.5-point favorites. There's the ticket for this game. A young Barry Sanders in this game against the Giants for the second time. They played Sanders the year prior as well. And the Giants posted their first shutout of the season in this game, beating the Lions 20-0 to move to 10-0 on the season. Now, there was another team that was also 10-0, the 49ers, and everybody was looking forward to the matchup between the 49ers and the Giants, which would take place not the week after this game, but the following week. So the Giants and Niners were both 10-0 at this point, and everybody was kind of clamoring for that undefeated matchup. The Giants, as we'll see in a few moments, played the Eagles, and the 49ers played the Rams in the next week. They both ended up losing, so they were both 10-1, which was unfortunate because it would have been nice to have an undefeated team against an undefeated team, but just is the way it goes. But the Giants ended up winning this one against the Lions pretty easily, 20-0. Again, the defense has just been on point for the last two games, allowing basically nothing to the Rams, 7 points, and then shutting out the Lions. Barry Sanders in this game, 11 carries, 69 yards, 2 catches. Just a kind of another day at the office for the Giants. 2 touchdowns for Sims, 23 carries for OJ, 91 yards. Now, here's the Eagle game. The Giants were favored by 3 in this game, but this was a game that I remember being concerned about, even as a kid, because the Eagles, like I said earlier in the video, they always gave us trouble, right? And that they were going to be pissed because we were undefeated and they want to knock us off, and that's what they did. This was not a good day for the Giants. You see a touchdown there to Ingram, then he spikes the ball over the goalpost and gets a penalty. But the Eagles pretty much did whatever they wanted to on this day, and there's a touchdown to Fred Barnett. Every little bounce kind of went their way, and you'll see in a minute they throw a ball in the end zone, it pops up in the air, and it ricochets right to their receiver, Calvin Williams. But it was just one of those days for the Giants. Giants were a good team. Eagles were a solid team. Eagles were 6-4 at this point. Playing hard, but they just had our number. And that's pretty much it. Now, the ticket, here's the play that I was talking about here. Cunningham throws it. Bang. And boop. Thank you. And when stuff like that happens to you, you know that it's not your day, right? Like, what are the odds of that happening, right? So they lost 31-13, not their finest hour. But now we got the San Francisco game, and there's a ticket stub for that. The Niners were favored by 3.5. We just lost 2 games in a row. I'm sorry, we just lost our first game to the Eagles. So 2 10-1 teams. Like I said, the Niners lost to the Rams the week before this to fall to 10-1. They were all talking three-peat. This is the world champions, back-to-back seasons. They're feeling good. They're at home. They're playing the Giants. And this was one of the most anticipated games of the season. Just a battle, a fight. Both defenses were unbelievable. The ticket it's a nice clean ticket. Again, they put the Giants helmet on it. The 49ers also always did a good job with their tickets for their home games. But yeah, this game just really was basically a field goal by the Giants, a short field goal, and then a 23-yard pass from Montana to John Taylor, which you're going to see right here. And that was it. 7-3. And the Giants had multiple opportunities to get the ball in the end zone. They had multiple fourth downs that they went for a couple of times, and they just could not cross the hurdles when they needed to. They were always just a few yards short. So in this game, Montana had only 152 yards. He was also under 50% completions. And O.J. Anderson, 19 rushes for only 39 yards. Hampton, 7 rushes for 26 yards. And at the end of the game, you see Ronnie Lott and Sims getting into a little argument because Lott got in his face after that last pass to Lionel Manuel. And I think we'll see them a little bit later on in the video. So keep that in your back of your mind. So here is we're back at home now against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, we had just lost 2 games in a row. We're 6.5-point favorites here, and we desperately need a win. Now, we were feeling so good after beating the Redskins that second time and having a nice lead in the division. Now we've lost 2 in a row, and we need to get back on track here. Lawrence Taylor had a fantastic game this game. He had 2.5 sacks and just was on pressure all day long. And look at this hit right here. Boom, and the ball comes out. The defense was just all over Rich Gannon. Greg Jackson had a couple picks here. It was just a very, very well-played game. After suffering 2 losses in a row, to come home and just really do what you have to do. And there's Taylor with a sack. The Vikings were 6-6 at this point, fighting for a playoff spot. Taylor with a strip right there of the ball. They were just all over the place this game. They really wanted this game. They needed this game. O.J. Anderson actually passed a 10,000-yard career rushing mark in this game. So that's pretty cool. That's the ticket for the 10,000 yards in the corner. And the Giants, they just got back right where they need to be. On the winning track. And here's a nice kickoff return from Dave Meggett to try and spark the offense. And here's OJ scoring. Boop. And he's going to toss in the ball for his 10,000 yards. Thank you very much. And a W for the Giants. Okay, now the Buffalo game. Week 15. The Giants were favored by 4 in this game. It was a rainy day. I was at this game too. Ponchos everywhere. It was just a really ugly day, but 2 great teams, both 11-2 going into this game. Here's Hampton with a big run to start. This was the opening drive for the Giants, and the Bills were just an offensive powerhouse. You had Kelly, you had Thurman Thomas, you had Andre Reed, you had Keith McKellar, you had all these guys on offense. Very hard to stop. So the Giants went on their first drive right there to get a 7-0 lead, and here come the Bills right back. Doop. Right down to Thomas. Thank you. See ya. Goodbye. They were just so dangerous, this team. Very well coached. Very good team. A lot of Hall of Famers on both sides of the ball. Cornelius Bennett on defense. Just really good team. And I remember this game vividly because both quarterbacks, as you'll see in a minute, went out injured. Right? There's the first touchdown to Andre Reed to tie the game. So the Bills were ahead for a good portion of this game. But here's Kelly getting injured against the Giants, and Frank Reich had to come in, who was not as known back then because it was a little, before the miracle comeback in the playoffs and stuff, but still a capable backup in this league. But then after that happened, here comes Bruce Smith and Jumbo Elliott, and Sims goes down. And that's going to be the last that you're going to see of Phil Simms on the field in this game. He is out for the year, does not participate in any playoff games, doesn't play in the Super Bowl. That's it. Hostetler comes in, again, another guy that we weren't relying on for success this year. He tries to lead them back in the final minutes, and he just can't do it. Can't duplicate what he did against Phoenix earlier in the year, and the Bills take this one 17-13. But again, just like the 49ers loss, we will see them again down the road. Okay, now the first order of business the Giants had to do was make sure that Hostetler was a capable quarterback, and that could lead them into this playoff run that they were about to have. So they're 6.5-point favorites against a not-so-good Phoenix Cardinal team. They were 5-9 coming into this game, but if you remember, the Cardinals gave them a really tough time last time that they played them. There's a nice sliding catch by Ingram. Now, just to talk about the ticket for a minute, that ticket in the top left-hand corner is extremely difficult to come by. They're very rare for whatever reason. Cardinals tickets are very hard to get. And that one with the picture of the state, the picture of Arizona on it and everything is a difficult one. So that's a good one. Here's a nice full ticket from the Patriots game at the end of the season. The Giants were, again, 14-point favorites because the Patriots were 1-14. And if the Giants played them earlier in the season, they probably would have won, you know, like they were beating the Rams and the other teams 31-7 and such. But these were two very unimpressive wins against bad teams. The Cardinals were not good. The Patriots were even worse. And the Giants only won by 3 points, 13-10. So that's how we ended the regular season, and now we head into the playoffs against the Bears as a 7-point favorite. So a lot of people were counting the Giants out at this point because they had lost Sims. They played 2 horrible games against the Cardinals and Patriots, even though they won both of them. But, you know, Jeff Hostetler, you're going to win with a backup quarterback? No way. Guy has no experience, really. And this was the game that you were turned into a believer. I mean, up until this point, Hostetler really had not done much. Yeah, he ran around a little bit, and he was very mobile, but this game, look at these passes. Like, crisp right in the corner to Baker, beautiful pass, right? And the Bears, even though we were 7-point favorites, a lot of people counted us out. We had a lot of people taking Chicago with the points. This was a huge goal line stand, stopping Muster, John Washington right there with the stop. That was a big play on 4th down, and the Giants kind of steamrolled it from there. That was the turning point of the game, I feel, that stopped the Bears' momentum, and the Giants kind of just took over from there. Hostetler got a lot of confidence from this game. Parcells actually praised him after the game, which was a rarity. He never really praised anybody, but he really did play well, and he gave the Giants fans a lot of confidence. Now, this play right here, look at the circle, right? O.J. Anderson blocks Refrigerator Perry on the play. And if O.J.'s pants look a little bit different, it's not because he was blocking Refrigerator. It's because he has his practice pants on, because he didn't feel like he was going to play that much at this point. But in this game, Rodney Hampton breaks his leg, and now O.J. is the man. So now we go to San Francisco as an 8-point dog. On the top left-hand corner, you see 2 tickets there. The one is from if the game was to be played at Giant Stadium. So we call that a phantom ticket in the industry. And then the ticket on the right is the actual ticket from the game played in San Francisco. So I put both there just because I have both, so I figured I'd put them there. So now, going into this game, the Niners were looking for a three-peat, as you saw before. They already won the Super Bowl in 88 and 89, and they were looking to win 3 in a row. Here's a nice option pass from Dave Meggett. Threw it right into the end zone to Maurice Carthon. Beautiful pass from a running back. Nice tight spiral right to Carthon, and he dropped it. So when things like that happen and you're dropping wide open passes, you're saying to yourself, oh, is it not our day? And then the Niners come back, bang, John Taylor, big touchdown. That was the only touchdown of the game, actually, right there. The rest of the game was just a bunch of field goals. And Hostetler was hurt at one point by our former teammate Jim Burt, but he did come back in the game. And this was another battle of 2 great teams and 2 great defenses. And one of the best games that I remember from my childhood. Even though it was a low-scoring game and a lot of field goals, this was just like an attack on both sides. And here's Gary Reason's one of the big plays of the game. A fake punt that they snapped right to him, and he ran it right up the middle. Points right at John Taylor, and John Taylor makes the tackle on him. But that was another really ballsy call by Bill Parcells, because if the Giants don't make that, you're giving the Niners the ball back. And this is one of the famous plays here. Lawrence Taylor on the ground. This was right after Hostetler got hurt, and the Giants were coming after Montana now because Hostetler was injured for a little bit, and Marshall just drills him right in the back, blindside. Lawrence Taylor there, right in the front, chasing him out to the side. He goes to throw the ball, and Marshall just annihilates him. Ball comes out. 49ers did recover that. They did rule it a fumble. 49ers did recover it. Mark Collins whiffed on it. He had it right in his hands, and it went right through his hands. But Montana was out of the game. Steve Young comes in, hands off to Craig, who fumbles. Giants get the ball back. Eric Howard with the big hit. Lawrence Taylor with the recovery, and the Giants are back in business. This is late in the game, and here comes Matt Barr to calmly drill another huge field goal and send the Giants to the Super Bowl. Unbelievable. So if you think of all the guys that the Giants have counted on to make it to the Super Bowl, guys that we did not count on in the beginning of the season: Jeff Hostetler, backup quarterback; O.J. Anderson, backup running back; Matt Barr wasn't even on the team. He was, he filled in for Allegre. So just so many different guys that just filled in. And here's the ticket from the Super Bowl. We were 6.5-point underdogs. The ticket you see in the top left-hand corner is a full Super Bowl ticket that I was able to get a couple of years back. And this past weekend, I was at the sports convention, the National Sports Convention in Atlantic City, and I actually got O.J. Anderson to sign the ticket. So that's why there's the writing on it. He did sign it for me. It was pretty cool to actually meet him and talk about this particular season. It was just really, really cool because you see these guys on TV and such, but it was really nice to meet him and to have him sign the ticket. So this is the Super Bowl here. Again, the Bills are back. Jim Kelly's back in the game, back in the lineup rather, after being injured against the Giants. And the Bills had scored like 50 points in their last game against the Raiders, and I think like 40 something the week before that. So they were absolutely on fire. And Bill Belichick had to come up with a plan to slow them down, and he did. And his plan was to allow Thurman Thomas to run for 100 yards. And the Giants defense had a lot of pride in themselves, and they really didn't want people to run against them. But Belichick felt that the only way that they were going to win the game was to, have 2 down linemen and have players back protecting the pass and hitting and nailing the wide receivers anytime that they caught the ball. And that's what seemed to work for about the first 3.5 quarters. And Hostetler just got leveled there by Leon Seals. My God. Bruce Smith almost strips the ball out of Hostetler's hands. That would have been a complete disaster. But he only gets a safety, and here comes Otis Anderson to kind of save the day here. OJ just ran so hard. The Giants kept the ball for over 40 minutes in this game, which I believe is still a Super Bowl record. 40 minutes and 29 seconds, I think it is. They had the longest drive in Super Bowl history until the Giants broke it themselves in Super Bowl 42 against the Patriots when they opened the game with a 9-minute and 59-second drive. But the Giants right here just played inspirational football. They knew that they couldn't go toe-to-toe with the Bills, so they ran out the clock, they ran the ball, they did everything that they possibly could to slow down the game for Buffalo. Now watch this by Anderson. He's running down the field. This is one of my favorite plays of Otis. He sees Mark Kelso coming, and he winds up and gives him a fierce uppercut right to the face. Beautiful. And then goes down. Nice. Now this is another great play from the Super Bowl here to Mark Ingram. It's 3rd and 13. So he misses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and gets the first down. So 3rd and 13. He catches the ball right there. And he makes 1 guy miss, 2 guys miss, 3 guys miss, 4 guys miss, and then finally jumps to get the first down. And then OJ pumps it in for the touchdown, and the Giants are looking good. But just like the Bills always do, they come back with a quick strike. I think they scored like in a minute and a half. Meanwhile, the Giants are milking the clock and running the ball and taking the play clock all the way down to 1 and 2 every time. And the Bills just get the ball. They do their no-huddle offense, and there goes Thurman Thomas into the end zone. So hats off to Belichick after this masterpiece. The Giants are up by 1 point with 2:16 remaining. The Bills have the ball, and now the Bills are starting to realize that, hey, we can run the ball. They only have 2 down linemen. So they start running the ball to Thomas a little bit more on this drive than they were throughout the course of the game. And then now they're starting to move the ball downfield, and they're getting close to field goal range. And they get it super close. However, Norwood was not good on grass. On grass fields, over 40 yards. He was 1 of 5. Over 40 yards on grass. So this was not automatic by any means. And, you know, Scott Norwood's career obviously was not the same after this kick that he missed, but this was not an easy kick. Here's the snap. Actually had the distance, and it just missed to the right by probably about 3 feet. Maybe not even. But the Giants win Super Bowl 25. O.J. Anderson, in his practice pants, is the MVP because Bill Parcells told him that you are not to remove those practice pants after they beat the Bears. So he kept the pants on for the 49er game, kept the pants on for the Super Bowl, and Parcells told him that he will pay all of his fines for wearing practice pants during the real games. So we like Parcells. So here's the full collection of all the ticket stubs that I have from the 1990 season. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of throwback to the old days of Giants football. And for you ticket stub collectors, it's just kind of neat to see the history of the tickets and where we've been and kind of, you know, the good times for Giants football, because we know that we need those good times to come back soon, Giant fans. So hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.